I am sorry, digital page. This is going to have to be a part 2 because my camera only records 29 minutes. So I don't know when it got cut off to. So we'll just back up a little bit and talk about what's going on. So I'll link part 1 down in the description box below. You can go check that out, show it some love. Watch that part first and then you'll know what's going on. What I mean, part 2. It's my neighbor up there, Jim, working on something. We dropped a tool. Okay. So we were talking about the second instance of bullying, where I got pushed down the stairs, and we were going. My mom drove me back to school, and my mother said lawyer, and my Uncle George. I was talking about. I have an uncle. This was my mom's uncle. My pappy's brother. There were 4 in the fam. I have an Aunt Net who's still alive. Cutest little old lady you ever want to meet. My Aunt Kay, who was married to my Uncle George, is still living. That's the second brother. There was my pappy, who he was. I think it was who didn't have a great Uncle Joe in the fam kind of thing. I had an Uncle Joe. He passed away years ago. My Uncle George passed away a couple of years ago. And my pappy passed away like 1991, somewhere around there. He had a massive widowmaker heart attack and passed away. But my Uncle George was a lawyer. And so we were going to get, and they were like, okay. Girls got, Chrissy and Danielle got 3 days suspension. They were going to suspend me too, but my mom convinced them not to. Then my mother wanted to take me to the hospital because my Nana also had siblings too. I had a wonderful great aunt Sue, my Nana's older sister, who was just the great auntie you could ever have, kind of thing. She's the best. Excuse me. We're mukbanging as we do this. Anyway. And so after that, I never saw the girls again. I don't know what happened to them. Barely saw them after that. I don't know whether their moms took them out of school because they'd been in trouble too many times. I was like, okay, we gotta move to get you out of trouble kind of thing. I don't know. Because after it happened, I was crying all the way home, as we were discussing in the first part. And my mother was my mama bear, so, it's just, I love her for that. I had a sore hip for a couple of days, didn't say anything to anybody. I didn't even tell my classmates, didn't tell my teachers, didn't say anything to anybody. It just, I was like, what? I was trying to process, like, what happened kind of a thing. And it took me a while to kind of, and I'm going to say this, I forgave those people a long time ago. They were just young and dumb. Parents didn't know how to raise them. They didn't understand special ed. I don't know why I kept getting singled out, but whatever. And by the time I got to high school, it was like nobody cared anymore. They just cared they just was wondering why I was in special ed. But I want people to know and understand that you can be better from bullying. You can show them bullies. Why you gotta be so mean? Someday I'll be, that kind of stuff. I actually grew up like 5 minutes away from here, so. Cool thing about our family is my grandpa, my dad's father, my dad, me, we all graduated from the same high school. And my dad and his dad graduated from the same Catholic elementary school. So, how about that? So, there you go. There's the second instance of bullying. Now I'm going to get to the third instance, and this is the last time I've ever been bullied. I want people to know my story. And I'm not afraid to share any of this with anybody, so just so you know. So, like I said, I had a sore hip for a few days. My mom wanted to take me to the hospital to see if I had a concussion. I didn't. I felt fine. I just kind of basically kept to myself and just kept wondering why, and kept replaying the scenario over in my head, trying to put it out of my head, trying not to think about it. But, you know, it's just like, why do people do this to people? You can't do this to people. You don't know everybody's situation, why you bullying, but never mind. So the third time, this was, I think it was 8th grade, yeah. I think it had to have been 8th grade. Yeah, it was. This was an 8th grade thing. And this new girl comes to our bus. Her name is Erica. And she had a heavy New York accent. Okay, like, how you doing? You know what I mean? It felt like she was from the Bronx of New York with an accent, you know. And, she kind of, I was like, oh, you look new. Are you new here? I was like, hi, I'm so-and-so. You know. I'm Martin. As I use my screen name for privacy reasons. I was like, hi, I'm mkgtweety. And she goes, hi, I'm Erica. And she goes, where do I go when I get into school? And this was the middle school at the time, which no longer is in existence. And she goes, what do I have to do to, you know? And I was being nice and friendly to her. I said, well, you have to go to the counselor's office. They give you your schedule and all this kind of stuff. And I told her where it was. I said, you come up, and as soon as you get into the school, because you come in the second floor. So there's a 3rd floor above that, and then there's the 1st floor below that. And if you go to the right, there's the office. In front of you is the library. And if you turn down to the left and go all the way down there, all the way down, and then you'll see where it says counselor's office. She goes, oh, thank you very much. You've been so helpful and all this kind of stuff. At the end of the day of school, she gets on the bus, and I said, well, you were able to find the counselor's office where I told you where it was. And she goes, yes, thank you so much. You've been such a good help. And I said, may I ask you, are you from New York? I said, you have a New York accent. I'm just curious. And she's like, yeah, I'm from New York, and my mother sent me down here. And I said, oh, your mother? And she says, I have aunties, uncles here. They owned the local restaurant at the time that's no longer there anymore. I think it was called Cheverini's, was the name of the restaurant. And she said, well, my mother, I'm kind of not doing so well in New York. My mom wanted to put me in a different environment. And she thought if she put me here, I'd stop my ways and all this kind of stuff. Kind of like a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air thing. And, my little Tweety mug. And she's just, you know, we're being nice and friendly towards each other. She says, well, my mom says if I continue to act up, my mom's going to put me up for adoption. And I'm like, excuse me? And she's like, yeah. She goes, my mom wants to give me away because I'm too hard to handle anymore. And I said, well, that's not nice and fair. And she goes, I'm scared, but I'm going to be good down here, so she don't have to do that. And I'm like, okay. And, you know, we're chatty for a couple of weeks. You know, she would ask me how my day was. I'd ask her how her day was. And she was just nice and friendly towards me. So all of a sudden, her demeanor changes. And this was totally out of the blue. Totally whatever. And she goes, this is one day, and she's like, don't talk to me, you bitch. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? I'm thinking maybe she's having a bad day. She doesn't want to talk to anybody, you know. And we turned out to have the same science class. I actually was mainstream, special ed, we call it mainstreaming. So I was placed in a regular ed science class because I was good at science. Enough to where I didn't need special ed for that. And, you know, you can be in special ed for all of your classes, a few classes, maybe one, whatever. And our earth science teacher was named Mr. Real was his name. Mustache, glasses, cool guy. I heard at some point, this was way after I left middle school, that he had like a nervous breakdown and couldn't teach anymore. Something happened to him to where he just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but that was the rumor going around. And I would be like this side of the classroom, she'd be like over there, like you're like kind of looking at me at the camera. And she would go, "Oh, I'm gonna beat you up, girlfriend." I'm thinking, what has gotten into this girl? Like, I couldn't figure out what was going on, right? And so I would just be like, "Girlfriend, what the fuck is going on?" And I'm like, "Please stop this. I'm trying to be your friend." She goes, "Don't talk to me or you're gonna get it." And her, like, she just kept this up for like maybe a week or two, I'm not sure, until finally the day comes of when the incident happened. This was a few days beforehand. And she mouths to me inside class, "I'm beating you up." I said, "No, you're not." I said, "I didn't do anything to you. Shut up." And she's trying to like sneak a finger and like, "Shut the fucking bitch." You know how, the finger? The thing where if it's too loud, I need to turn it up. Or that middle finger? Flipping the bird middle finger? And I'm just like, what has gotten into this girl, right? And I'm just like, I didn't say anything to anybody. I'm like, I didn't believe her. I'm like, you can make all the threats you want and she ain't gonna hurt me, bitch. You just ain't. And she just kind of, and then we get, okay, so that was like a few days beforehand. And then the day comes when it actually happens. And we're on the bus. And I'm sitting on the bus. And she goes to the seat across from me. This way. Not this way, but this way. And she goes, "The minute you get off this bus, I'm beating your fucking damn ass." And I go, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I didn't do anything to you." She says, "You know fucking damn well what you did to me, you bitch." And I'm like, what is going on? Now, I normally don't swear on my channel, but you have to understand what was going on. She goes, "You know exactly what you did, girlfriend. You know." And I said, "I don't know what I did." I'm like still trying to figure out. She says, "The minute we get off this bus, your ass is mine." And so, sorry my neighbor's mowing his grass. So if you hear that, please forgive me. So, we get off the bus and I get this eerie feeling come over me like right away. Something inside me just told me, now I have to blow my nose, so just please excuse me while I grab a tissue here. Sorry, I had a tissue, I had to blow my nose. Please excuse me. And I'd start running. And I'm running and I'm running like I got bulls by, like running like my life depended on it. And it would take me 8 minutes to walk to my house to the bus stop. Now there were several shortcuts, as I say, to get home. Like I can go up through this one way and I'd go through the alley, takes you up to the alley, and then up to the houses where my house was, because that was like the last house on a dead end. Or I could go the way I always went, big, long hill kind of a thing. And I don't know what made me happen or what made me stop, but I stopped right when, okay, which way do I want to go? Do I want to go the long way? Do I want to go this way? And she finally catches up with me, and she goes, "You little bitch, you." And circles start swimming around with all the school bus kids, and they're going, "Fight, fight, 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 fight." We all know how it is. And it's just me and her in the middle. And the only thing I do is put my hands up, trying to block what she's like, "Get out of my way, you bitch." And first place she hits me was my cheek. Right here. She's like this. I'm like, "Ow!" And she goes, "You know exactly what you did, bitch." Hits me again right in my eyeball, right here. And I managed to get away with everything I had on me. And I just start crying and running away as fast as I can to get out of the situation. And she starts yelling at me. She goes, yeah, that's it. You better run home, you little mommy, you little crybaby bitch, you. And she's like pretty proud and happy that she had done this. And I don't know where, I guess the kids must all went home. And I start walking home with my cheek and my eyes started to throb. And I'm like crying my eyes out. And this is the second time I ever cried at school. I go home and I tell my mother what happened. And my mother don't believe me at first that I was in a fight. She's like, I told you not to fight. I told you to use your words and blah, blah, blah. And I said, Mom, I did use my words. All I did was have my hands up to block me. And she didn't believe me at first, which I get and I completely understand. So we try to find out what happened. And a friend of mine who lived at the bottom of the hill, her mother and my mother, well, her mother was my Girl Scout leader, who eventually became a bestie of my mother. And she's my, like, grown-up girlfriend kind of a thing. So if I couldn't go to my mom, I could go to her and know that I would be safe and trusted and all this kind of stuff. And she had 2 children. And one, her oldest is who we ran into, my friend. She's a year younger than I am, and I'm 41. I'm 41 now. And turned 41 in April of this year. And she's like, oh my God, what happened? I heard what was going on and all this kind of stuff. And she goes, I heard her auntie or somebody owns this restaurant, Cheverlini, which is that way. And she's pointing to the block or 2 over. She's like, I hope you're alright and all this kind of stuff. We hightailed it over to Cheverlini's, a restaurant, which was, I think, an Italian restaurant. Never been in. It was the first time I ever was there. It was a family restaurant. It's no longer operating anymore. But at the time, it was operating. And Mom's like, you sit here on the sidewalk. I'm going to talk to them. Until my mother brings me in and says, I need to know what happened here to my kid. And Erica comes down and is crying and said, she did it. She provoked us, pointing at me. I said, no, I didn't do anything. I said, she's the one that provoked me. I said, I didn't do anything to her. I was being friendly and nice to her. And then she turned around, you know. And I said, I just put my hands up to block it. And she goes, and her uncle, or some older man, he had white hair, he was wrinkly. He goes, I knew her mother should have never brought her down here. I knew she was going to be in trouble the minute she got here. And blah, blah. And she goes, see, my mom's going to put me up for adoption if I go back to New York. And I'm like, girl, whatever. And the older, I guess it must have been his daughter or something, because she looked a lot younger. She looked more towards my mom's age at the time. And she goes, I'm going to drive around and find out what happened. Gets in this blue car and starts driving all around the neighborhood. And we go back into the car. And when we meet up with the woman that we were speaking to in the restaurant, who was talking to all the neighborhood kids, and they said she didn't start that fight. They said they saw her put her hand, and Mom was like, all right, now I believe you, girlfriend. She's like, I see you were trying to defend yourself with your hands and moving her away and trying to get away. All right, thank you for being honest with me. And I said, you're welcome, Mommy. I said, I felt a little scared still, but it was the shock of it all. And she goes, well, the older kids, all the kids were saying that Erica was the one that started this and all this kind of stuff. And I said, I don't know why she would do it. She goes, don't worry, we're going to get to the bottom of why, okay? This happened on a Friday. And I was supposed to go to my Nana's Saturday, because my Nana was one of those Nanas that I want to see the grandbaby kind of thing. And this is my mother's mother. And she had heard about what happened. Was none too thrilled. I was the one Nana should be. But, you know, she was like, okay. Alright. My Nana was an RN, badass RN, a registered nurse. And she also raised 6 kids, 3 boys and 3 girls. My mom's the oldest out of all the siblings. And she's the oldest out of all the girls. And then the next oldest after my mom would be my Uncle Johnny, who's the oldest out of all the boys. And he's like 3 years younger than my mom, basically. And so I get to my Nana's, and she's like, "Let me see your eye there, girlfriend." And she saw it, and she kind of like looked me over for like a good 30 seconds and said, "Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Little wife, she'll be good to go, girlfriend." And she goes, "Do you know why she would?" And I said, "I have no idea, Nana." I said, "I have no idea why all of a sudden I'm just like," she's like, "But I'm just glad you're okay." I said, "Okay." Monday comes around. I really didn't want to go outside and play with anybody. I just had this black and blue thing happening, and it was just no. But I knew that my childhood best friend, my neighbor, and his family, they asked how I was, and he talked to me, and he wanted to know what was going on and all this kind of stuff. He was a calming presence. We converse on Instagram DM now, you know. So after that, I go back to school. I'm walking towards the school bus. Erica comes walking towards me. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what is her ass doing here, right? School bus, school time. Cars whizzing by, we're outside. Sorry. And she comes to me and she says, "I have to apologize for what I did to you." She's like, "I didn't mean to do that." And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? A bully, like, actually, like, having remorse and feelings and all this kind of stuff. And she says, "I'm sorry that I beat you up. I hit you. I didn't mean to. But the kids on the back of the bus, the school bus kids that sat at the back of the bus, were telling her, putting ideas into her head that I was talking about her behind my back when I wasn't." I don't do that to people. You just don't do that. That's like a thing you just don't do because, you know, rumors, they spread faster. And the breeze and all that kind of shit. And I said, "Oh, I'd never talk about anybody behind my back." I said, "I'd never do that." She goes, "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. She's like, "I'm going to be put up for adoption when I go back to New York. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm here. I just have this temper. I can't." And she's just like going on and on. And I said, "It's okay. It's okay. Sometimes, you know, people plant things in us, and she went ahead of me. She kind of basically ran to the bus stop. I'm walking. Or nobody at my school knew what was going on. Like my teachers or anything. They just said, they were like, they didn't even notice I had a black eye or anything like that. They just didn't. And it was, and I didn't want anyone to talk to me. Didn't feel like talking about it at the moment. I just trying to process and then maybe talk to me about it, you know? And, so I'm like, didn't put makeup on or anything. I just kept the ice pack on and I got better. After that day in school, I never saw Erica again. I don't know where she is to this day. I don't know. Like I said, I forgave everybody in the stories a long time ago. Because I just, young, dumb, didn't know. You know, they didn't understand all this kind of stuff. But I thought it was brave of Erica to, you know, say I'm sorry and all this kind of stuff. Like I said, I don't know what happened. I don't know where any of these people are anymore because it's been so long ago. But yeah, there's the events of what happened to my bullying life. I just want you to know that you're not alone. I've been through this myself, so hang on there is hope. If the school will not do anything, maybe if you can write to the newspaper and say, "Hey, school," or go to the cops. The school's not doing anything for me. What can you do for me as a cop? And if they won't do anything, go to the news. Whatever. Just saying. That's what I heard you should do, or something like that. I'm not sure. But look at me. I'm still standing better than I ever did. Looking like a true survivor. feeling like a little kid. But yeah, you know, I'm somebody that had learning difficulties and all this kind of stuff, but I managed to pull through, you know. So there we go. There's my stories of bullying. Now, if you want to follow me here at YouTube, you can hit the subscribe button, or you can type in the search bar mkgtweety, mkgtweety, and then space tweety, and you'll get to me. Or it's youtube.com/@mkgtweety. I have a Pinterest, Tumblr, Wattpad, Twitter, Instagram, all on the moniker mkgtweety. Links are in the description box below. I'm going to be making a family update video very soon, because I have to tell you some news about my dad. If you've been following me on Instagram, you would know. So I'm just going to be telling YouTube soon. So if you want to follow me on my Instagram for more weekly, more up-to-date stuff, follow me there at mkgtweety. I thank you. I love you. I thank you for sitting here and putting up with my stories. If you ate with me, good enough. mkgtweety with the Tweety mug. Don't we all love it? I saw a putty tat. I did see a putty tat. That putty tat is after me again. I love you. Bye, digital peeps at YouTube. I will smell you later. Bye, love and lippy, digital peeps.